Okay, so this video is to show you how to drill the holes in here and here. You should only do this after you've done the planing down the edges successfully and created a chamfer running along the long edges, and then also use the belt sander to create a chamfer on the short edges. Then it's ready to proceed to the drill. So we're going to drill a hole that goes down so far and then stops. That's called a blind hole. Everybody's going to drill theirs using this assembly here, which we would call a jig. A jig is something that holds our work while we work on it and allows everybody to do the same job quickly and efficiently. Now, different people will have planed different amounts of the material. Some people might have done it perfectly as required. Some people might have found that they've planed off too much. Some people might not have planed off as much or might not have had to. So different people will maybe find that theirs fits and some people will find that it doesn't fit. And to solve this problem, we have some different inserts in here. So these red pieces, they fit in there and they allow my piece to fit in quite tightly. We've got to ensure that there's not much movement when we place it into the jig. But if I find another person's from our class, you can see that it won't fit in there. And if I put it in here without any inserts, it would move about too much. So what we have to do is experiment with these different coloured inserts. I'm going to try the orange ones here and see if they fit. And it looks like the orange ones for this particular person is also going to be slightly too tight. So I'm going to keep trying, and then finally I'm going to try out these green ones. So put the green ones in and see if that fits. So that fits in there, and there's not a lot of movement when I find that that's up close to the end where this red arrow is. When I'm pushing it in towards the red arrow, there's not much movement. Obviously it's got to move backwards and forward maybe a millimetre, but that's okay. What we mustn't have is something rattling about lots and lots. So if I put my piece in here, you can see that that moves an awful lot more. So that's no good with the green inserts. For mine, I have to take the green inserts away and I have to use the red inserts. The red inserts seem to fit mine perfectly. So for each person doing this, there'll be a little bit of experimentation and trial and error to work out what inserts works best with you. When we do this, we have to make sure we hold it with our left hand as far away from where the drill's cutting as possible. Start the drill and then allow the drill to burrow its way into the surface. Before we drill, we need to check that the drill is going to actually act on the centre of the piece of wood. It should actually be cutting on the insert part that we assembled earlier. Just let it drill gradually. Don't plunge it in with any force. Let it burrow its way through. And you will find that because we've set the drill with a depth stop, the drill will not move any further beyond this certain point. So that means when we look into the hole, we can see the hole is not gone all the way through the piece of timber, it's only cut through this layer here. It doesn't pass through the final layer. And that's called a blind hole, a hole that doesn't pass all the way through our surface. Now going to turn round and do this a second time. If you find that this fills up with lots of sawdust, just simply brush it or blow it away. So you can get your work cleanly into the jig. So that's an example of a piece of work successfully drilled with blind holes that don't pass all the way through. You need to do this on this piece, and you should have another piece exactly the same, so in total you'll be drilling 4 times. Remember to give people time on the drill, to do it sensibly, to do it safely, so that they're not stressed out. Don't be tempted to come in and help anybody do it unless you're wearing goggles as well as the person doing it. If you need any help, for instance if your piece of work will not fit into the jig at all, see your teacher for help. Some people might find that theirs is an awful lot more narrow and it might need a certain setup just for them personally. Okay, good luck with that.